All right, back in the lodge adjacent to my shop, and let's talk about coyote stands. This is a frequently asked question that we have of how long do you stay for? What's the duration of call sequence? I'm gonna break all that down, like simplicity. My stands are going to dictate the length of time is going to be the amount of habitat. If there's more vast habitat with good wind direction, I'm probably going to stay there a little bit longer. You know, we don't have hunting contests in New York State. They were criminalized, banned by legislation. So it's not 15 minutes, leave, get to the next spot. 15 minutes, leave, get to the next spot. It's not a race to the end. We enjoy being out. We want to be successful. Seeing what we get to see. If we didn't like it and we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't do it. So to be successful on a stand here in our demographic, our carrying capacity for what we have for coyotes here for the eastern coyote is not what there is west of the Mississippi. So our eastern coyotes, we don't have the quantity. So my stands are usually a little bit longer. We have a lot more habitat, a lot less agriculture, more room for that animal to travel. So my stands are usually gonna last a little bit longer than the normal guy. When I get to a stand, diligent approach, good wind direction, crosswind, as long as my wind is not blowing into the habitat where I expect the animal to be, I'm gonna call that stand. And it sounds hypocritical. Even if the wind is hitting you in the back of the head as you're walking into a stand, what's to your downwind? Is it 3,000 yards of absolutely nothingness and you have rabbit habitat, like I call it that rabbitat, just that thick stuff off to your left? That's still a good stand to call because you can see that distance to your downwind. If there's no habitat and there's nothing there, it's still a good stand to call. So if your wind is not blowing into habitat where you expect the animal to come from, it's still a good stand to call. So be cognizant of that. Know your wind direction as you're walking into stand. So the duration of time when I start a stand, some people like to say, you gotta let the woods settle. You get set up and you wait 10 minutes, you wait 15 minutes, you scan your surroundings and you let everything calm down. I completely disagree with that because of the amount of time we've spent daytime coyote calling and nighttime coyote calling with thermals. When we get to a stand and we see coyotes out in a field doing coyote things and we're getting set up and then we want to start calling, if that direction of travel is going away from you, it is very, very difficult to call a coyote. It's not unheard of. Yes, it can be done. It is not easy. It is a difficult thing to actually get a coyote to turn and commit back into an area that they just came from. There's a little hesitancy and a little bit of insecurity with coming back into an area that they just crossed out of. So if we're in stand, keeping that in mind, I don't want to wait for that 10 to 15 minutes to elapse. I want to captivate and communicate and get that animal's attention as soon as possible when I am set up on a stand, because I'm there to do one thing. I want to shoot that coyote. I don't want to potentially give an animal an opportunity that was there or leaving or on the adjacent. I'm going to captivate immediately. We have a lot of luck doing that. So we don't have a downtime. We typically start a set immediately. So when we do start a set, I like to start quiet. I don't pop a paper bag under their butts and just scare the heck out of them. If I'm doing a prey distress using my rabbit squealer, this is a call that I build. I like to promote my stuff. This is available at rushcustomcallers.com, available in the description. So if I'm using a rabbit squealer or any prey sounds, there's rolls and hills quite often. There might be a bedded coyote. There might be a sleeping coyote. Yeah, these things do happen at night. Coyotes on their feet at night typically are just always on the move. These are the hypotheticals that you can plan for all of these variables that could happen, because they do happen, and they do happen quite often. The more you do it, the more you're gonna see. We see a lot because we do this a lot. We've done this a lot, and we've been very successful. When we start calling on a stand, quiet. Muffle the call, or even just rip some lip squeaks. See if whack-a-mole, something pops its head up over a roll. Scan your surroundings, make sure nothing's there. When you're confident nothing audibly heard what you're doing, go ahead, start picking up the volume, picking up the volume, picking up the volume. Always be aware of your downwind, because the coyote hears it, they're gonna wanna see it, they're gonna wanna smell it. That animal's job in nature is to survive. Mammals, period. When you start a conversation calling, that mammal's job is to survive. And how does it survive? With this. They hear it, you started the conversation, they're gonna wanna see it, now they're gonna wanna smell it. You gotta pique their interest to commit and actually expose themselves for a shot. So I start quiet, I start picking up volume. When I don't have anything appear and I'm still watching, I'm still scanning, especially when you have a partner, now you got two eyes in the field, two sets of eyes in the field scanning everything. I am ripping and screaming and screaming and screaming. So what I want to do at that point, when I'm really ripping on the call, I want to give it as much rasp, back pressure, and hit as many audible spectrums of tone as I possibly can. I want to sound ill, hurt, sick. I want to sound like something delicious that animal wants to come in and eat. So hitting all of those audible spectrums of tone is a very, very, very good way to pique the curiosity of that coyote. So the stand duration of how long we're actually going to stay there, we're going to start immediately, we're going to start quiet, we're going to start picking up tone, and then we're going to start ripping on it. How long we stay there is going to depend on how big is that habitat. Now, I like to say, and I don't want to say this to offend anybody, but every coyote on earth has ADD. It's not point A to point B. Yeah, you can have those hard charging coyotes that are just ripping to the call and coming across the field. That's fun. Statistically, most of the time, that coyote that's coming into a call is cutting distance to the sound, but it's also cutting distance to the downwind. And when it's on the approach, it kind of looks like this. Ooh, look, a butterfly. Ooh, I smell something over here. Ooh, a coyote went to the bathroom over here. I'm gonna sniff that. But they're still cutting distance on where the sound is coming from, which is going to be on your downwind side. This is why I pause quite often in between ripping predator distress calls using a rabbit squealer. So I'm picturing in my head the coyote that I can't see coming to a call, and I want to recaptivate attention. I don't want my call to sound like white noise. So then I'll start again, and I'll start hammering on it, and then I'll shut up, and I'll wait a little bit, and then I'll recaptivate attention and start doing it again. It's not constant calling. There's good pauses in between. When I say good pauses, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. The actual full length of that stand is going to be 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It might be 30 or 40 minutes if I have a big piece of timber block. Now, if I have a vocalization where I hear coyotes answer, when I hear a coyote answer, we got some options. Which way's the wind blowing? We might actually just pack it up and hike our happy butts across the field and cut distance and get to an area. If the ground is comfortable and it's not super crunchy and it's not noisy and we can cut distance, we're gonna cut a lot of distance. Proximity is huge. And then recaptivate attention. So when you hear a howl, don't immediately just rip a howl back, hang out and wait. Because another scenario is, who's gonna answer? You might have coyotes answering 200 yards away from you that you didn't even know was that they were there. So no matter what, any scenario I have, if I hear howls, I give it a hot minute and I see who's going to answer, if anybody's going to answer, and then I'll make a decision. Do I cut distance on them, or am I going to run out of room? Am I going to get too close to the habitat? Woodsman skills. More time spent, you're going to learn a lot more. Some different ideas. The bigger the habitat, the longer the stands, the longer the sets you'll make, pauses in between calling. So another point to bring up is vocalizations. So remember when I said when you start a stand, you start quiet. Now, if you're on a property and you really want to stick with vocals, something that I like to do, if I'm not going to go with any prey distress sounds and I'm going to just do a vocalization set for a stand, I'm always going to start my first howl with an invitational howl. That invitational howl is that you hit the apex of sound and then there's a rollover. You can hear that rollover in the voice of the coyote. Invitational. It's not short, not stabby, it's not argumentative. If you and I had an argument, short, hard syllables. Picture that with coyote vocals. Inviting. The conversation that I'm having with you right now, soft syllables. There's rollovers at the end. It sounds inviting. So if I'm going to do a stand that's just straight up vocalizations, when I start that stand, remember I said start quiet? There are more vocalizations for a coyote than just ripping a coyote. Coyotes doing coyote things, yeah, you don't want to howl quiet. There's chirps and whimpers, little pup cries, other little tiny tone that you can make with my howler, any vocalization, you can just manipulate softer pressure on it. Little chirps, little whimpers. I like to promote my stuff. This is my open reed howler, available at rushcustomcallers.com. Link is in the description. So this may not have sounded great to your ear because of the acoustics and proximity. Separate yourself, record yourself, set up your iPhone, hit record, walk about 50 yards away, 20 yards away, 100 yards away. Do those whimpers. It sounds completely different when you separate a little bit of proximity from where the sound is coming from. It makes a huge difference. So when you're practicing the call and you're like, that doesn't sound good, I can't quite get it, set up a phone, record yourself, but from a distance. Listen to what the sound quality is from a distance, because I kid you not, the actual tone proximity sounds completely different from a distance. Further proximity, better tone. And we're not communicating to coyotes that are 20 yards away from us. So practice with the calls, get proficient with them. So when I start a coyote stand and I'm just gonna stick with vocals, I'm probably still going to something quiet, soft, see if anything pops its head up over horizon, if it's something was in a dip over a roll of a hill. And when I'm confident nothing is within close proximity, now I'm a coyote doing coyote things. I'm going to take that howler and I am going to howl just that invitational howl. You can hear that rollover hitting apex of sound, and just that rollover. Wait a little bit. And then shut up. Absolutely nothing after that. This is something that we do. We've been very successful in the field doing this. Who's gonna answer? If anybody answers, make that decision. Do you cut distance on that coyote? Are you gonna run out of room in that field? Are you gonna get too close to the habitat? Which way is your wind blowing? When you hear coyotes answer, you got a lot of decisions you can make on that in between. So These are all suggestions, some tips. We've been very, very, very successful in the field. I have years and years and years of videos archived that I'm really looking forward to sharing with everybody. Thanks for watching.